G'day, Wombat here, and in today's edition of Past Glory, we're going to take a look at the SG G-310 by Epiphone. This is the G-310 from Epiphone, and Epiphone call it the first of their real SGs in their range. Now, I'm not much of an SG fan, so I'm not really going to comment on that so much, but what I can tell you is this guitar, the 310, was originally introduced about 15 years ago, and it's apparently based on a 1967 SG. So it comes in black, a red and an off-white. Interestingly enough, you don't see too many off-white SGs, but there you have it. This particular model that I'm holding in my hands is a 2004 model. Now that falls right in the period that many of you who watch a lot of my videos will remember. I talk about Epiphone dropping the ball on their quality standards a bit. That falls right in that range, so we'll get to that in a minute. But let's take a look at it, shall we? The body is mahogany, and it has a mahogany neck, a rosewood fingerboard, which the current models that you can still get, they're still in the catalogue. They don't use the rosewood, of course, obviously because of the restrictions. They use a wood called okumi. I think that's how you say it. It's a very rosewood-like wood. It's very close, apparently, in species to rosewood. So that's what they're using now. 22 frets. The tuners themselves, they have no branding on the tuners, but the tuners are lock tone tuners. So that's the tuning taken care of. If we come down to the body end, we have the bridge is also apparently a lock tone bridge. So they are branded, they just don't have anything on them. As far as whether they're Epiphone made or they buy them in from the Locktone company, I really am not sure. The pickups themselves, however, are Epiphone's own pickups. They are a 650R in the neck and a 700T in the bridge, and they are ceramic tuners. So, as you can see, the controls are fairly standard fare for an SG. You've got 2 tones, 2 volumes, and a 3-way selector switch there. It's got the older style scratch plate, SG scratch plate, which, you know, if it's based on a 1960s, you know, SG, you'd expect it to have. So, those of you who watched my video on the SG Special, you're probably wondering what I think about this, because the SG Special was all right, but it didn't really do it for me. Personal opinion, of course. So let's talk about this guy. This is certainly a step up from the SG Special. The problems I had with the SG Special was mostly the neck. It was a chunky neck and a really, really flat fingerboard, which just, to me, really flat fingerboards just seem really lifeless. And they don't inspire me to play. This neck, however, is really quite thin. It's a really lovely thin neck. It's not a shredder's neck, but it is nice and thin. And I think that works on an SG because there's not a lot of weight body-wise in an SG. It's quite thin. And if you have a headstock and a neck that are too chunky, you get, you know, head dive when you put it on a strap. And, you know, it can make it difficult to play at times when you're standing up. So I think a thin neck works on an SG, and this one is thin, really comfortable, felt really good in the hands. The fretboard, now the fretboard is still quite flat, flatter than I really feel comfortable on, but unlike the SG Special, it wasn't lifeless. This thing played really nicely for a flat fingerboard. It played great, and I really enjoyed playing it. So it was fast, and getting around it was quite easy. It was really, really good. So that's your neck. The pickups were also one of the things that could let you down a bit on an SG Special. With the 310, That's a bit different. These pickups are really quite good. So I throw everything at it. As you know, I do clean, and clean wise, we'll start with the neck. The neck could get a little muddy in the low end, clean wise, but it had this beautiful, almost bell-like tone to it that I really, really enjoyed. The bridge pickup was very, very trebly. Kind of, if I was to describe it, like an ice pick in the temple, kind of, you know, loud amp. People are going to find it annoying. But that's what you have a tone pot for, right? You roll off 1 or 2 spots on the tone pot and it tames that. Lot of poke. So even clean, there was a lot of poke in these pickups. The middle setting was probably the best. I do favour that for clean work on a double humbucker guitar, but you got a lot of the definition from the bridge pickup without the ice pick, but retained a lot of the bell-like quality of the neck pickup, so it was a bit of best of both worlds, I suppose, and it sounded actually really quite nice, very musical. Blues-wise, well, I said these were hot pickups, a lot of poke. They didn't inspire me blues-wise, probably a bit too hot for blues. You lost a bit of that lovely tone and it just pushed the amp a little bit harder than I was looking for. Doesn't mean that it might not suit you, just I didn't find it inspiring in blues. But when we flipped to a rock distortion, this thing came alive. These pickups were made for rock. They just sing, absolutely sing, and just want you to play them hard, which I did, quite frankly. They sounded great with a rock tone, even right into the hard rock kind of stuff. They just sang really, really nicely. I was really, really pleased with them. They will do metal. I'm not suggesting they'll do extreme metal, but they coped with, you know, your regular heavy metal kind of distortion really, really nicely, and that singing tone stayed. So in solos and things like that, they just sang beautifully. So I was really, really impressed with the pickups themselves. Apart from the bluesy aspect, I thought they were phenomenally good. Really, really nice. So we talked a little earlier about how this is a 2004 version of the guitar, and that's right in that area where Epiphone kind of dropped the ball a bit as far as their quality control was concerned. And I want to show you something real quick. These tuners are really good, the lock tone tuners. They're smooth, they do the job, they hold tune pretty well. But I did notice something. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up real well, but if we look at the tuners here, this tuner in particular is crooked. So you got some straight, and this one is crooked. It's kind of down this way, so you get a bit more space here, and it's really glaringly obvious that that is crooked. It kind of affects how the guitar looks. I think this one here is probably a little bit crooked as well, not as much as this one, but it really affects the look of the guitar. Does it affect the usability? No. No, it doesn't. It still plays, still tunes, it's not an issue, but that's the kind of thing I'm talking about their quality control issues that they had. This is a minor one. Some of them would be more. Some of the neck pockets on the you know, early 2000 Epiphones aren't what they should be. I've seen the ends of the fretboards come down pushing on the pickups. Just there's a few little issues. What I'm saying is, if you're going to buy a guitar in that sort of area, doesn't mean it won't be good. It just means you need to look it over and check it as closely as you can to make sure you're not getting one of the duds, because there are still some good ones out there to play. This one, although with the crooked tuner, still played great. Now, I'm not an SG fan, but this thing sang and it played really, really nicely, so I was really quite happy. So, price-wise, we are past glory, which means we're buying on a budget. What are we looking at price-wise? So, in Australia, these recommended retail price for about the $500 mark, and that is still with the current ones buying brand new. But used, you can pick these up for anywhere between 250 to 350 Australian dollars, depending on the condition of them, of course. So for an SG, if you're an SG fan and you want those rock style pickups that will really sing for you, that's not bad money. not bad money at all. And apart from that one little tuner issue, this one is actually pretty good. It's in good nick, it's in good shape, the build quality is pretty decent on it, and it's pretty good for that kind of money. So there we are. That is the SG G-310 by Epiphone. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this one. I certainly enjoyed having a play of it. As I said, I'm not an SG fan, but this thing sung pretty well. Those pickups are not bad at all. So there you are. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there. And as always, rock on, guys.